I'm going to tell you how I lost 40 pounds while driving a truck, and I did that twice. So, I drive truck for a living. I was listening to Sirius XM Road Dog Trucking. I believe that was channel 146. I could be wrong. There was the Kevin Rutherford would come on. He would talk about the keto diet. Keto, and when you're driving, you can't really go to a gym. It's a matter of, some guys do it, and my hat's off to them. But you gotta find a gym, and then you gotta find parking. Parking is the big thing. And they don't usually put gyms next to truck stops. So with that, with the keto diet, you are cutting back on the amount of carbs you are taking. So that's carbs, sugar. It's not a protein diet. Okay, that's a different diet that's sprouted from the keto. But no, keto is really a low carb, but you can use the meats and the proteins to fill it in. The main thing, okay, for no matter what diet, you still have to eat healthy food. I mean, it's not about calories. You have to make sure you're getting all the nutrients. So, and the best way to do that is with real food. If you can grow it, if it hasn't had the ultra processing. Anyway, so I would start going down this keto route. I would be more selective when going to a truck stop, and there's hardly anything at a truck stop to be able to go keto. There's really nothing. And I couldn't go all the way keto. I was more like 75%, maybe 90% of all that carbs out, because sometimes you just can't avoid it. But I would, how my day would go, in the mornings, I would like to get up at 5. That was a good time to get up. I had a blender. I would make this coffee. Whatever coffee you want to use, it really doesn't matter. And I would put around 2 tablespoons of butter, unsalted butter. I would put in 1 or 2 tablespoons of MCT oil. I would put in this vitamin D extract or supplement. Put in just maybe less than a teaspoon, eighth of a teaspoon of cinnamon. Cinnamon wasn't really for the taste. That was more to help with the mixing. I would put cacao powder. Basically, I'm just making this giant shake. Unsweetened shake. Oh, and what's really important, if you're cutting back on your carbs, you gotta have your minerals. So your trace minerals. I think I was getting one called Light Balance, LYTE. That's the one the channel recommended. Because when you're cutting back on your carbs, you're going to lose a lot of water weight. So it's the water that's stored in fat. And because you're losing that water weight, it's like you're drinking a bunch of water all at once. And so your body is going to flush away all your minerals. And that's where you often get the keto flu symptom that people talk about. So it's important to make sure you keep putting those minerals in. So I would drink that coffee, and on the energy of that coffee, I could go 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and really not even be thinking about food. Because your body is using the fat from the butter and the oil, and it's a much cleaner burning fat. fuel for you. It lasts longer. And one of the best things I remember about doing that was the mental clarity. I mean, our family wasn't old. We were health conscious, but we weren't in moderation. We would make a lot of our stuff from scratch, and we would always be cutting back on the amount of sugar some of these recipes called for, because it's kind of gross, really. If you're making cookies or a cake and the recipe calls for a 1-to-1 ratio of flour and sugar, that is way too much. But just the mental clarity, it felt like your head was always in a fog and you never realized it. Because your mood was drastically improved. You didn't want to eat, because when you did eat, more of a greasy food, if you eat bread, you would lose that feeling until the next day when it wore off, and then you would have your coffee again. So I did that twice. I think the most I weighed was 210 pounds. I would do that, and every week, whenever I get home on the weekend, and I would weigh myself, and I would be down 1 to 2 pounds consistently every week until I got to 170, and that was the weight on my driver's license. I'd gained that weight while on the road. When I left driving, because we were expecting our first daughter, that threw off my routine, and I started having a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich every morning, and that kind of threw everything off, and I gained all that weight back. Well, I decided, I need to go ahead and get back on that routine. So I went on that routine again, and again, from about 210 pounds, I lost it. But this time, I think I went to 160, 165. So I've done that twice. Again, I'm not working out. I'm just cutting back on the amount of carbs and sugar, but also trying to make a point of actually eating good food. And where am I right now? Well, I'm probably 210, so it's time to do that again. I found a driving job that allows me to be home every night. I enjoy driving. I enjoy being by myself, listening to stories, podcasts. There's alternative media that is becoming a lot bigger than mainstream. A lot of real information out there that people are reporting. But anyhow, that's my personal story of what worked for me. Oh, I was watching this other video. I think it was Dr. Berg. He was talking about seed oils. That's your canola oil, your cottonseed oil. And he was showing a chart of obesity and people's sugar intake. Again, with everything. And what he found was that over the years, our sugar intake has actually gone down. But on average, our weight has gone up. So now I'm wondering if the reason I was losing weight is because I wasn't eating as many foods that had the seed oil. Because you think seed oil's in everything. Every type of bread, especially breads, because when you make homemade bread and you leave it out overnight, it's going to be hard and stale. And yet the stores can have this bread and it stays fresh for days. Now, what I think they're doing, like what I'm pretty sure they're doing, is that they're putting in a lot of oil in the mixture that doesn't evaporate as fast. And so to the touch, it feels soft, but it's actually just oily, a moderate oily. And so if you're cutting back on breads and sugar, if you're eating something sweet, it's really in bread. So maybe the reason I was losing weight is because I was cutting back on the seed oil. Oh, and the chart he was showing was that seed oil intake has gone up at roughly about the same rate that obesity has. So I'm kind of thinking now maybe that's why I lost all that weight twice. It's not so much the bread and sugar as it is the oil, the type of oil you use. You got to be careful because not all olive oil is 100% olive. It could be olive flavored canola oil because canola oil is way cheaper. And I don't know if you've noticed, but on the Crisco label, the I in Crisco is a candle. And that's because when those oils were made, they were first made as an engine lubricant. You know, to burn engine lubricant for fuel. And that's why it's a candle. And then somehow they got us to think we could eat it. And now everyone's fat. You ever see the old photos of the of Woodstock? Even just any photo, you look at people on the beach, there's no fat people. Like everyone looks healthy. You're not real thin, you're just healthy looking. And what happened? What changed? Anyway, hope that helps someone.